There's so many markets you can choose to invest in, from the space tech market to the data center market to AI and quantum computing. Maybe you're considering AI defense, or you're looking at oil and gas, even, or just energy in general. But here's the deal: when we're looking at the huge plateau that we continue to bring ourselves to, and then we find a new plateau, and we continue to bring ourselves to, and it's always this conversation around, is there a bubble? Are things going to continue up? I believe we're just getting started when it comes to data centers in the AI and tech market. The reality is that every single one of the magnificent seven companies, we're talking about Nvidia, Apple, Microsoft, Tesla. You could look at every single company, Google, they all said we're investing more in AI this year. And they started saying that towards the end of 2024. Then in 2025, most data center companies see a large surge. So in this video, we're going to go over TSSI. This is a stock that we've been following for some time, and they're fairly small market cap, so you would want to have some caution around them. But just know that they are in this AI market that we're seeing a lot of momentum in, and that's why we're following them now. And in fact, we were trading TSSI on the plane, or right before we got onto a plane when we were flying from California to Buenos Aires. And it was one of our most profitable trades earlier this year. It was right here, I believe it was right here on the start of October, and we saw it surge about 10 or 15%, and we sold at market open. We made a very nice gain right before getting on a plane. If you guys ever want to tune in to those daily live trading sessions we have Monday through Friday, it's the second link in the description down below to have a look at Stockmates. I'll even send you a free t-shirt when you join, and you can join us as soon as market open on Monday. Just a friendly reminder, if you want to use AI in your analysis, we love to use AI. In fact, I'm going to start our first search off here with our favorite models here. We got Claude, Gemini, OpenAI, Grok. I can select a model and I can search our first stock we're going to be analyzing here, which is TSSI. As soon as I search it up, it is going through the financials, it's going through the technicals, all of the data that we provide to it, press releases, and it's pulling up some analysis for us. And so we're going to get a full analysis from Grok with the best data sources in the world that we're able to pull in for you. And so here we go. You are getting that analysis now. TSSI is a stock we've seen start to get some momentum here. If we take a step back over the last year, they've really surged from about 75 cents up to over $20 a share, even $30 a share at one point. And so we're seeing this very consistent uptrend. You can see this holding above this 200-day moving average, that green line, where they're starting to really start to break out. And we're looking just recently, our last projection for this stock was that they were going to bounce this 200-day moving average. So again, green line, when they're bullish, that green line is going to be acting as a support. The EMA, when they're bullish, it's going to be acting as support. When they're bearish, it's going to be resistance. It's going to be acting as resistance, that moving average. So as we see them start to hold above the 200-day moving average, we're anticipating about a 30% move on this stock from about $16 a share just a week or so ago, and looking for a recovery up into this $20 range. Now that's exactly what we saw. We see a 27% increase. Why is this stock here? And now it's reaching this resistance, this previous support level back in July, and now it's a resistance back in early October, and then it's reaching here in beginning of November. It's a resistance here around $20 a share. And could we see it break out further above this $20 a share, continue up into these ranges of that $30 range? It's a 50% or even more. Really, we're looking about a 50% margin for profit to 60% margin for profit if it can continue in this overall direction that it's starting to develop. And so as we're looking at the chart, that's one thing, but this really doesn't tell the whole story, the chart. You can look at the chart, you could say, look at this resistance here, or you could see this overall trend over the last year, and you see this build of market cap as it's continuing up. But what you don't realize is you can't just look at the charts. Maybe you realize this, you probably realize this. And if you've ever gotten burned only looking at the charts, you know this. But TSSI, they're a company that works with the data center technology that allows these big tech companies to fully integrate, to build their data centers, and to optimize their data centers for their specific operations. So let's say you're looking at a data center company here that is the shovel for AI. It is doing the enabling of data centers. And when we look at their income statement, you could see that they have annual incomes here that have really surged, almost hockey sticked over the last 4 years. Back here, 2021, it was $27 million in revenue. You could see them start to get up to, in 2024, they brought in $148 million with a positive net income. And then when we look at the quarterly financials into 2025, they've already reached around 150 million. So they're on track to double their revenue. In fact, from a quarterly comparison, their revenue is up 260%. So of course, just because the revenue is surging doesn't always indicate they're a perfect company. In fact, when we look at their balance sheet, while their assets have risen drastically, up about 382%, their liabilities have gone up as well. You can see they don't have very much equity. In fact, it would be great to know that they've raised some money. And that kind of brings us to so we went through the first data center market. We see this market growing, big investments from big tech. But then you got to tack on the second step, which is the analysis. We go through the financials here, and then you can look at the news of the company, kind of what they do or what their offerings are. Integrating high performance computing infrastructure to meet the demand for AI. And so what they do is end-to-end data center configuration. We see companies that are actually building the data centers, like the big buildings, okay, and make sure they have the power. But what about the companies that are, actually configuring the data centers, doing configuration, deployment, management of modular edge computing solutions, or setting up and deploying the setup for technology providers? And so you could look at Supermicro, for example. Supermicro is a multi-billion-dollar company, and they don't even have GPUs. They have their racking systems that they provide for NVIDIA, and NVIDIA uses those racking systems. xAI uses those racking systems, and most big data center companies like to use Supermicro's racking systems. And so this is a company, it's not racking systems, it's not the construction, it's not even maybe necessarily liquid cooling in the construction of those individual components. It's the actual programming, it's the configuration of the data centers. And this is very important for the getting up and running as a company that is deploying data centers. And what are the common problems that Apple's running into or Microsoft's running into? Number one, it's location and energy. So you could look at the energy, and we can get into that. But number two, it's the rack integration, the actual moving of a data center. So imagine you're moving a data center, taxes are high over here in California. You want to move it to a place that has better weather and it's more optimized in North Dakota. How are you going to do that? They do relocations of data centers. And they also do the site surveys, facility site assessments, all that stuff, structured cabling. And so as we look at that, and you see their business as a enabler for big tech, it makes sense why their financials are doing well. But here's the thing. They're on track to do about $300 million this year, and their market cap's still at $550 million. So in theory, market cap where it is right now, they could be drastically underrated if they continue to get some deals. And so we're just going to watch very closely TSSI. This is kind of the next target we'd be looking for TSSI. Something like this. This move from about $17 to $18 a share up into this level, around 80% gain up to $34 a share. That level there. So that's an 80% gain we're watching. And so we're going to keep our eye close on this stock. Near support level is around that $17 support. And then, of course, they got this resistance they're breaking out from here around $20 a share. If they can continue up, that's kind of the next target. So we'll be watching TSSI, seeing if any opportunities present themselves for better entries and investments this upcoming week. If you'd like to join us in our daily live trading sessions, we're there Monday through Friday. It's not here on YouTube. It's actually a private link. You get a email for in the morning, every morning at 6:30 a.m. Pacific time, about 15 minutes before market open. Actually, you get a link, and it will take you to our live session. You get targets for the week. You get a community here of about 28 millionaires, and there is some great conversations happening from some members that are really crushing it lately. David's doubled his account, actually more than doubled, 200% on his account since joining Stockman. He's in CTM, and they just surged big time yesterday. And then you got books and things like that. So we have books if you ever want to learn, let's say, how to set up a plan. I wrote this. This is the philosophy of a profitable trader before ChatGPT. So how do you have a plan? How do you go? What does it mean to only risk 2%, 3%, but go for 10% to 20% trades? Why do you see us say we're going for risk management here, but we're going for this much? Why is that important? How do you do asymmetric risk? We go into all that along with the how to learn. How do you actually learn? And then examples of trading plans, all that, along with emotional IQ or things like that. The mindset, emotional IQ is a big one. And if you'd like to grab it and get a free t-shirt along with our daily live trading sessions, it's the second link below. Now, to wrap up the AI analysis, you can see that the projections over the next year for TSS here from Grok are bullish by over 12% gain over the next year. So very bullish on the stock. I think that's even conservative. But when you look at the gains here from Grok over the next month, they're projected to continue to hold above that $20 range. And as we mentioned, a $20 support level. That's exactly where they're at right now. You can see $20 support level is even what the AI is saying. And next resistance here, if we're looking into the future here, resistance around that $21 range. That's where they're targeting right now, as they're around 20 bucks. So looking to get up there. And if they can continue to break out, that's when we start to see more of that explosive growth for the company as they're in the AI and data center market. And so if you want to use AI analysis, it's the first link in the description to get your hands on this machine, whether it's knowing that your AIs are considering the government shutdowns or that they're considering the insider trading, and you can get a clear look, for example, at AI analysis of it, but also see the different companies like BlackRock, when they're buying, Vanguard, when they're buying and when they're selling, or the insiders. What are the insiders up to? Are they buying? Are they selling? Can you get a look at the different insiders here on TSSI? You can see that's the breakdown. We got the full breakdown. See how much they're buying and selling, and which big institutions are buying and selling and what they're doing. Get an AI analysis of what that actually means for the stock, and use tools like this on a daily basis, just like me. It's the first link in the description below to have another look at the machine. Appreciate you all. If I earned your thumbs up, hit the like button. Do consider subscribing, and I'll see you in the next video.